Rightio, we just started pulling the front end off the fireblade, so pulled the mudguard off and the upper nose fairing part. That's down there. So just removing the brake calipers. They're going to need a rebuild. Probably going to do new brake lines anyway, so I'm not worried about that dangling by the brake line. And we're going to whip this side off as well. And just a little tip, get yourself a couple of these. These are just little boxes I got from Bunnings. Grab yourself some tape, mark your compartments, and put all your bolts in there. It makes life a lot easier when it comes to putting it all back together. So, especially when you're doing half an hour here, half an hour there, you know, by the time the end of the week comes, you're going, where'd that bolt come from? This fork seal, as you can see, is absolutely toast. That's just the dust seal, but the fork seal underneath is toast as well. So we're going to be replacing those. The forks themselves, up here is not really that important, but just around the top here, they're a little bit tarnished as well. So we're going to see if we can just give those a little bit of a buff up without having to get them sent away. Obviously the radiator, that needs a bit of love and attention. As you can see, genuine barn find. Like, seriously came out of a barn, I'm not even lying. I actually just cleaned up the dials, but you can see all the dust around the edges. So yeah, it's going to be cool once it's all done. Riding down the road will all be worth it. So just to give you a bit of an idea on how I set these up. So this is the right hand side of the bike. I'm going to do another one for the left hand side. But basically all I do is I put these, I'll rest it up here so it's pretty easy to show you. I put these little bits of tape, so that's the caliper mounting bolts. We got fairing nose, the mudguard, the bolts from that. These are just some fittings off the left hand side of the forks for the mudguard, and same with that. It's a little bolt piece from the underside of it. So everything's all nicely kept there. I know that's for the right hand side, and with the little bits of tape I can see what everything is, and then when I get onto my next project I can rip all the tape off and start all over again. So that's just how I do it. I don't know if that's easy. You can do both sides of the bike, you know, in the one compartment, but sometimes it's a bit easier if the bolts are different lengths on one side to the other for whatever reason. You know, knowing which ones went left and which ones went right just makes it a little bit quicker for me. So yeah, real helpful. So we'll set up this side of the bike. So these little clip things here, they sort of, one slots on there, that's the upper one, and then the lower one goes around, can't do it with one hand, but that goes around the bottom of the fork, and then the mudguard mounts to both of those. So just, yeah, keeping the rights on the rights and the left on the left makes things a bit easier, just in case they are slightly different, which I don't know if they are, but it doesn't matter. So we've got the brake calipers off. They're literally held on by 2 bolts. Got those labelled in the box. Now, this guy here is your axle nut. So you do have to undo these 2 pinch bolts. They don't have to come all the way out, they're just loose. Then this guy here, I've undone that already. That comes off, chuck that in there. Now this side has just got a hole through it, you can see there. So you can leave these 2 pinch bolts done up to secure that axle when you're removing the bolt from the other side. Then all I do is chuck something like an Allen key that fits in there. You can see how I can turn that axle and work it out. So all I'm going to do, hold the wheel with one hand, pull that out with the other. So that's out now. Axle itself doesn't look too bad a condition. It's I don't know whether that's grease or fork oil's found its way in there, but either way that needs cleaning up and re-greasing once we put it all back together. Now the other thing that I chuck in the box are these wheel spacers. Quite often it's pretty obvious which side they came from, but just to make it easier, and just make sure you haven't got any washers or anything sitting behind there. Not common, but yeah, you can clearly see those are quite different side to side. One's got a lip on it, but anyway, they're in each box for left and right, so now they can't get mixed up. Pull that guy out. And now we're ready to remove the forks, so I'm going to undo these pinch bolts and these pinch bolts on both sides. Then that fork leg is going to slide right out. But what I am going to do beforehand is I'm going to find a socket, and I'm just going to loosen that a touch while it's still held by the fork. So it's going to make my life a lot easier down the road. So let's go on to that. So now I've undone the two pinch bolts, top and bottom. Now that bottom one is the pinch bolt for the clip-on, but once I pull that fork leg out, it's actually held there by this bracket, so it shouldn't fall away, hopefully. But now it's just a case of giving it a little twist out. You can see that's coming out there. Try and do it with one hand. Twisty, twisty. So that's held on to that, which is good. There she goes. And I have loosened that cap already to make my life easier. So there's one fork, ready to do fork seals in. Hopefully that won't fall over. Nope. Now we'll get onto this side. Boom shakalaka. There's fork leg number 2. All right. Next time around, we're going to rebuild these forks. Give the bottom a little bit of a tidy up, make it look a bit nicer. And we've got to paint that front wheel as well. The same colour orange as those new fairings. Now I've strapped my front end lift down just in case that was to give way for whatever reason. So she should be pretty secure. And I always make sure I store the bike. Try and do this slowly. All the way down. Oops, forgot about the wheel. Just keeps the lift in its sturdiest position. Now time to enjoy my beverage. Better living, everyone.